I'm so glad you found my Q&A video series here on YouTube. I'll be answering questions from my Creative Engagement podcast and my YouTube channel. You can drop a question in the comments section below, or you can ask a question by sending an email to coach@danielrmandel.com. Please subscribe to be notified when new videos arrive. The question I'm focusing on for this video is, how can you make habits work for you? Or how can you use creativity to hack your habits? In your day-to-day life, your time unfolds like a series of actions in a movie, or maybe like a documentary, sometimes like a dream that you're watching or observing. With a little distance to give you enough perspective, you can start to identify patterns. These patterns can become so ingrained and so practiced that they run automatically and invisibly until they're almost undetectable. You can think of these habits as patterns that help us. They help us by automating tasks that need repeating so that we can then achieve larger tasks. The experience of driving a car shows us that certain skills like steering a car and parking and merging, over time can become automatic. Now, when you drive, you don't have to think about it. Instead, you focus on the important aspects of your day because steering the car has just become an ingrained pattern. Driving makes it easy to see the steps toward conscious and even unconscious competency. Initially, the student driver's unaware of what they don't know. After a few lessons and experiences, a student driver now has an awareness of what they don't know. With time and practice, an awareness develops of how the driver performs tasks related to driving. And then over time, without thinking about it, driving skills just fade into the background as automatic patterns. When we judge habits as good or healthy, we say that we're disciplined. When we see habits as bad or unhealthy, we might call those addictions. Addictions are powerful because they can be tied to things like brain chemistry and very difficult to interrupt. I like to use a definition of addiction that I've learned from theschooloflife.com, and I'm paraphrasing here. Addiction is anything that we use to distract ourselves from having a direct experience. When our experience of ourselves or the world is too much, then we look for ways to distract ourselves. But if you can look at habits, how they form, you have the ability to create habits that serve you well and interrupt or break the cycle for habits that give little or no benefit. Let's start small and see if we can experience this by inviting in one new habit. And we can also interrupt one habit that isn't useful or helpful. The first step to identifying patterns is to look at how you spend your time each week. If you look at a typical week and create a chart of how you spend your time, how would you label those pie pieces? Typical labels might be work, family, exercise, entertainment. Each pie slice contains patterns or habits that allow you to feel consistent and have a certain amount of control over your circumstances. Choose any area where you'd like more satisfaction, more efficiency, or just a different experience. And we're going to start small with a doable change. This helps us prove that we can work with habits and have agency in making changes. Starting a new habit requires repetition and establishing the right trigger. Sources vary, but experts say that new habits may take at least 6 weeks or more to get set. This means you need to be patient with yourself in the very beginning. And remember, At the start, this will be a new behavior that's not automatic, so it'll feel more effortful. Knowing that your new behavior requires you to pay attention daily for about 6 weeks helps set the right frame of mind. Habits form with repetition based on a trigger. So, you'll need to create a trigger that sets up this new habit and be consistent about it. Examples of triggers are like time of day or an external event or maybe an internal sensation. You've heard of the famous experiment by Pavlov where he created a new trigger by ringing a bell each time before feeding his dogs. Over several weeks, his dogs associated the bell ringing with being fed. Pavlov had demonstrated that he could introduce a new habit in these dogs. Eventually, the dogs would salivate only from the sound of the bell because it had become automatic. Stopping an existing habit requires identifying the existing trigger so that the habit can be recognized and then interrupted. This can be seen with changing eating habits where the trigger is internal sensations of hunger. The idea is to recognize the hunger signals and then create a different behavior or response to them. If you'd like extra information about how to choose a trigger and set up a habit, you can contact me directly. I'm going to describe an example of adding a new habit I want to start and stopping a habit that I don't want to continue. My new habit is to start to improve my piano playing ability. I'm a singer-songwriter and my main instrument is guitar. During the COVID-19 pandemic, I started teaching myself how to play and even write songs on my piano. I noticed that my right hand learned a lot of chords and fluid movement, but my left hand is limited playing very basic bass notes and rhythms. Now, I want to enlist the power of habits to increase my range of possibilities with my left hand as I play piano. So I need two elements to create my left hand piano playing habit. I need a trigger that works well, and I need to have some new skill to perform with my left hand. For my trigger, I'm choosing the time of day as mornings after I have my coffee, but before I turn on my computer and check emails. For my new skill, I turn to my friends here at YouTube to find a left-hand piano pattern to learn. As I start, I know in advance I won't initially be so good at this. And that's okay. I'll need to pay extra attention to make it stick. And yes, there are frustrations. But knowing this up front helps me focus on developing this as a new skill. What new habit do you want to add to your life? Can you imagine setting up the right trigger and behavior that will prepare your new habit? Are you willing to repeat this new behavior consistently for at least 6 weeks? The habit that I want to discontinue is related to watching TV without being mindful. I can see my TV viewing time can be reduced when I look at that pie chart of my weekly activities. I don't like the feeling that I've wasted time in the evening watching shows that I didn't choose intentionally. My trigger here is unique. I chose a trigger to be the end of a TV program or movie. The end of the show, when credits begin rolling, is when I would normally feel that pull to find the next thing to watch. But instead, I want to use that trigger to make a change. Now, when a show ends and I see the credits start to roll, I use that to remind me to take a break and go do something else for at least 10 minutes. This helps me avoid mindless, ongoing TV watching or binging behavior. You'll also notice that 10 minutes is a specific, measurable time. I could put that on a timer if I wanted. I've discovered that 10 minutes of a different activity is enough of a break that it gives me a reset. And that allows me to check in with myself and be more intentional with my choices, more mindful. I like this next part because it's both creative and a little bit sneaky. Even though my piano habit triggers in the mornings and my TV habit to stop is in the evenings, there's nothing stopping me from using the 10 minutes after the end of a TV show to practice my left-hand piano skill. Feel free to get creative about how starting a new habit and stopping an old habit can become related and even support each other. What habit would you like to interrupt and make less automatic in your life? This helps us see that we can have agency with our behaviors. We can optimize how we use our time and our habits. It's important to remember that we're all subject to habits. It's a part of who we are. While I do my best to present topics like these in a thorough and informative way, changing habits is not easy, but it is worth trying. Remember to start small and be patient and believe in yourself. If you've enjoyed this topic, please subscribe to the Creative Engagement YouTube channel. And also like this video. Thank you so much for watching.